girl, whatever, we're gonna try that again. So we're going to try again. I don't know what happened just now with me sharing my screen, but that thing just went, nope, we're not doing this no more. So Zuck is zucking apparently. That's what happens when you lay off all the good marketing and branding people and the IT people that do what they do in the background. Stuff just crashes. So anyway, I will have to do this without being able to screen share. I'm also setting up my OBS studio so I can do this stream different ways. But it's taking some time. So you're going to get just me for right now. I put my website in the description box so you can actually see what I'm doing and what I've done with my website. So, just a brief synopsis about me. My name is Joy Donaldson. I am a communication specialist. I'm a creative director, I'm an author, I'm a filmmaker. I do a whole lot of things. And I step into doing all the things that I do with compassion, with confidence, and with knowing I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And so when people ask me about branding and marketing specifically, here are the things that people tend to negate. One of the things people negate is thinking what's working for someone is going to automatically work for them. That is what happened in my last position where, well, why aren't we doing what this person is doing? Because we don't have their same messaging, because we are not them. So when it comes to marketing and branding yourself, you have to figure out you. You cannot apply what Beyonce is doing and choose that path thinking it's going to work the same way for you. There may be elements that you can adopt and take on as your own, but for the most part, what works for Parkwood is not going to work for you. And that is okay because we are all our own individual people. We don't have to fall in line with what everyone else is doing. That is another thing me personally have come up against with people that are learning their brands, want to market their materials, want to market their brands, want to market their businesses. They assume that they have to know everything and get it right every single time. That is unheard of, especially since COVID and what we have learned over the last 3 years is how important it is to be genuine, how important it is to learn from your mistakes, even learning in real time. One of my favorite kind of tropes in YouTube content are YouTubers that will make a video and will maybe learn some new information from the time they actually created that video to the time they posted it, because it's not always a linear path. So there's some time in between, especially if it's a topic that is kind of evergreen or something they've been researching for a while. They may have put that content out and maybe in the or at least created that content, and in that time frame of actually posting it, some new information has come down, and they have no problem popping in and going, hey, editing me here, I actually learned more information about this as I was uploading, so here's me sharing more information with you. Instead of just letting that thing rot out with outdated information, they come in after the fact and go, here's something new. Or they admit when they made a mistake. Hey, in my research, I actually pronounced this name wrong. It's actually pronounced this. Or in my research, I was researching someone who actually ended up being not a great person to look into, or wasn't a great narrator. So forget everything I'm about to say just now. I love how that trope is becoming more allowed and more viewed as, okay, this person is actually doing their due diligence, and that is required when you are building a personal brand, especially if you're someone who wants to do video, if you're someone who wants to do digital and video slash audio content. You have to be fast on your feet, and you have to allow that room for mistakes to be made, because the perfect things, especially in the world that we live in right now, tend to be the ones with the most mess behind the scenes. Instead of allowing people to be people, they want to be perfect and never be wrong. And let me explain, well, not explain, but let me tell you, based on my own personal experiences in the work that I do and in the positions that I've held up to this point, perfection, as a Virgo, it's very hard for me to admit this, but perfection, perfect, will never, will always be in the way. It will never be right. It will never be exactly what you want it to be, but you have to try. You have to put it out there. You have to see what sticks. That does not mean just throwing any old thing onto the wall and why didn't this work out? There was no intention put behind that. You just threw something hoping people would get all over it. It's like throwing out chow for sharks or chow for piranhas. They gonna eat at it, but at the end of the day, they're just gonna go look for the next thing. There's no reason for them to stay here. So you have to give them something that is remarkable for them, that is a changing space for them, that can allow them to change their minds, change their um, processes, change how they view things. That's what really makes marketing and specifically branding important, because you can't demand perfection from yourself when that does not exist. Throw anything out there hoping that the audience will get it. That's something that I don't just throw anything out there, but the way that I talk, the way that I work, I expect people to just get it, when it's more an exercise of, let me explain why this matters. Let me explain my thought process and why I wanted to present this to you. Flipping that sort of perspective, as an author, a writer, all those other things, the thing that made me really shift in my writing is not writing towards my audience, but writing about something that matters to me, understanding that the audience that also resonates with will come as I'm working and circling in that space. So that's another thing that people get wrong when it comes to marketing. You're in the wrong space. You're trying to make something pop off over here in this family friendly space, when your work should be towards people of a certain age, work, single people doing all different things, dating, all those things, but you trying to make it pop over here because this is the audience you think will give you the most revenue, when to them they're like, this ain't for me. And what you're going to do is actually run those people off. So you have to figure out who your audience is, and understand that who you think your audience is may not be who your audience is, and learn to adapt, learn to move forward, and realize that just because those people came up with you in the beginning does not mean they're going to stay with you the entire time, because just like you evolve, they evolve. So you need to learn how to evolve and elevate in the spaces that you're in. A prime example of people who refuse to get with it, and we all know the story, Blockbuster, Netflix. Even though Netflix is doing what it's doing right now, in the in the beginnings of Netflix, and in the beginnings of what we, how we consumed media, going from DVDs to actually going to streaming, Blockbuster refused to get on board. They were like, no, we've been in this game for X amount of years. We know our client. We know that they want this, this, and this. Yeah. But those clients have kids. Or those clients were kids and now they're adults and they want to be able to go from work home and start their show without having to make any stops in between. And it had its space, it had its nostalgic feel to it, but it no longer was viable in the community. It didn't, nobody wanted to get out of their car, go look for a movie, see if it was actually there, if it was good condition enough for you to take it home and pop it in your Blu-ray, if they had Blu-ray, because a lot of them kind of took a minute to get along with Blu-ray. So you're dealing with, or Blockbuster was dealing with this thing of like, no, we want this to stay the same, and the rest of the world had moved on. And that's what's also happening, ironically, with Netflix right now, where Netflix wants things to stay the same. I don't want you sharing passwords anymore, even though Netflix knew people have been sharing passwords. We don't want you to venture off to other places. We don't want you to do. We want things to stay the same. And as consumers, we're like, nah, we're going that way. And however that however that pans out for Netflix, we shall see. But that is how you need to approach your business, your marketing, and your branding. Do not just jump on the latest trend, but also elevate and figure out what works for you and what you're comfortable with doing, and see where people are going instead of where you want them to be and where you want them to stay. Because at the end of the day, you're going to come across as outdated and out of touch if you stay in that thought process. So figure that thing out. Do not be afraid of outsourcing work if you don't know how to do it. I cannot express to you, as a digital designer, as a graphic designer, how people will just go into Canva, pick one thing, change maybe the color, maybe, and then just throw that thing out there and wonder why don't nothing happen. And we'll get upset again at the audience and go, why aren't you paying attention to my things? We've been inundated with how things are supposed to look, how graphic designers create movie posters, flyers, announcements. We've been inundated with it. So much so, at least for me as a designer, I can tell the difference between somebody who really did not know what they were doing and just threw something out there and hoped it would stick, again, like we talked about before, or someone that took the time to either learn that craft or outsourced it. So if you are not in the space to be able to learn it, outsource it. There is no shame in you paying somebody to get this thing done well, instead of you being upset that what you gave to that didn't really work out. So again, there's no shame in that, but you got to be open and honest with yourself, and you got to be able to send these things out to multiple people and be like, hey, how does this look, and accept that feedback. Because if it does not look good, it's not going to appeal to your audience. And there is a specific way of working within digital media and content management and content creation. Like, there is a certain way to do it. When it comes to being a part of your own marketing and your own branding, the thing that I run up against the most is people assuming they got to know the latest dance. They have to be up to date with the hot tops of the moment. You have to be someone like me that's kind of in tech and IT and kind of got their hands into, oh, I know how to do this, and I know how to edit this, and I know how to do that. You don't have to know it all to make an impact. What I mean by that is someone needs to hear what you are doing. And if that means you on your regular phone, putting that joint on camera, make sure it is the long way and not like this. We don't do this no more. When it comes to most content, it's vertical, not horizontal. Even if it's just you with that camera and whatever editing software is by default on that phone, put it out there. That does not mean, again, just throwing some stuff out there and hoping it sticks, but being intentional. Even saying, hey y'all, I'm new to this thing. If it don't look right, let me know. If y'all can help me, throw me some tips this way. But here's why I'm here. That goes so much farther than you not doing anything and then getting upset at your audience for not showing up. TikTok is one of the most powerful apps. Yeah, there are a lot of problems with it, especially for people that look like me. But, well, and not but, it's one of the most powerful means of communication we have, especially when it blew up in 2020 the way that it did. Even before 2020, when we were talking, we were learning about Hong Kong and what was happening in Sudan and what was happening in Yemen. Like, we were learning so many things that were happening across the world through this one app that used to be Musically. And yeah, you got your dance challenges, and you have all these especially Gen Z creators that can just whip something out really quickly. I am a millennial. I'm towards like the mid part of that time frame of the millennial age gap, like that generation. So it took me a second, but once I got it, I applied it the same way that I applied YouTube and Instagram and all those things. So powerful of an app, of a platform that dang near every other popular social media site has copied what they've done. If not copied, like outright copied, they just allow video content to be on their things because it works. So you need to allow yourself to learn. Do not be so stuck in your ways that you're like, oh, that's too much for me. I'm not doing it. Okay. Your audience is there though. The people that you're looking for is there though. And a lot of people don't know how TikTok has its own sub community, similar to Reddit. Reddit has r slash whatever, and it could be anything. But and TikTok has the exact same thing. You have food talk, you have plant talk, you have nonprofit talk. Like, you have a place for everything. So don't stay stuck in this space and go, well, I don't want to do that. I don't see the reason to do that. Do you not see the reason, or you just don't want to learn? And that's a question that, as someone who does the work that I do, I have to ask my clients that, because I've come up against clients and I've ended contracts with people who refuse to learn and throw it all on me to figure it out. And then, and if I make a mistake, it's like, oh, I'm just going to delete that and do it. So what was the point? What was the point? And in the work that I've done, I've realized I'm not, this isn't new. I'm not the only person that has gone through someone just deciding that I don't want to do the work. You do it. That's what I paid you for. No, that's not how that works. There needs to be communication. That's how that's going to go any farther than where we are right now. Because otherwise, you just right back where you started, if not worse. So, when you are up against social media landscape is vastly changing. We saw everything that happened when apartheid, oh boy, took over Twitter. Twitter is still breaking to this day. I am an avid Twitter user. I'm kind of touch and go here. It's not like I used to be. I'm not on Instagram as much as I used to be anymore, because my old Instagram, I got locked out of it. And no one can tell me why. And everything that I've tried to get back into it, including using hackers, has not worked, because a lot of these social media spaces don't listen to their audiences. Like what I'm telling you right now, why it's so important to listen to your audience. YouTube, TikTok, people that still on Snapchat for some reason, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, massive social media sites, massive tech companies do not listen to their audiences. People have been screaming for chronological order on Instagram since they took it away years ago. So much so that a dude went on live on Twitter. It was like, we're doing this. How can we help? And everybody kept telling him what they wanted. And he straight up said, no, we're not going to do that unless you're a celebrity. Celebrities aren't so much Instagram's audience anymore. Celebrities have moved on. They've moved on to TikTok. And they've moved on to other spaces that they're still really active on Twitter. Like, that's Instagram isn't what it used to be anymore. So to say we're still not going to listen to you, we're going to listen to the people that have check marks, it's a slap in the face. So if a tech company can do that and be so intentional with their jerkatery, imagine if you applied that same thought of, I'm not going to do that thing to your company, to your brand, to what you're trying to accomplish. If people can get up in arms with these tech companies so much that they delete these apps, what do you think they're going to do to you? So when it comes down to that, sharing and being intentional with the work that you want to showcase, the work that you want to do, having a clear line of communication from audience to you, if not directly to you, to your virtual assistant, to a separate email, to a an app that Lord have mercy, that automates these things for you. They need to be able to get to you. So that also means you have to show up. That means you have to put yourself in the area that they can reach you. You have to own up to when things didn't go the way that you thought they would. Some stuff happened a few weeks ago about a t-shirt. And I had shared with everyone at large, yo, this t-shirt thing didn't work out the way I thought it would. My apologies, y'all. Here's what I want to do to make things right. And then COVID happened. So you never know who's in the woods waiting on you to mess up, to bring something back up front, to be like, you ain't doing da. I made it right by paying that person back for the t-shirt and refunding their money. And after that, I'm like, here's what else I can offer. So you have to allow that room to be humble. You have to allow that room to make mistakes and then learn from those mistakes, but then also like correct behavior. There's so many brands, companies that get off on being rude to their customers, to their clients, to their audiences, because they think it's cute, because it can generate what's the word I'm looking for? It can generate hype towards something. We've seen so many posts about hairstylists that just talk to their clients in your kind of way. You better come to my chair. You better be washed, dried, flat ironed, braided, and had the wig on so I can take a pic and you can leave like I did it. Like that. There's a lot of people out here like this. And to continue to make noise in the places, in the space of noise, you have to be genuine. You have to be authentic. You have to be okay with criticism. You have to be on it when people are like, yo, how can I get more from you? Can you tell me how I can support you? You have to have all of that in order in your brain, as well as to your team, if you have a team, to let them know that this is how we work. This is what we do. And so there's no confusion, and there's no, you just like the rest of them. No, I'm not. And here's why. There is a lot of jadedness. It is. I think COVID made it worse and so much easier to be jaded, because at this, you can't be disappointed if you just expect the worst possible scenario. So when you come through as a good business owner, as a good brand, as a good entity, they're like, oh, snap. Okay, this is dope. I want to continue to support. People are going to talk. Um, if you saw what was going on with Keith Lee, he's a huge TikTok person, where one individual just decided to throw dirt on this man's name because she didn't get what she wanted and she just assumed that he stole her idea but had no proof. So she brought it to the internet instead of bringing it to him. And then he showed the proof of being like, this wasn't just your idea. I've got multiple people with the same idea. And then she came back to the internet to say that she wasn't going to apologize, even though she had insinuated it was him. Then they didn't like that because Keith Lee was someone of integrity. Keith Lee was someone who shared who he was had no problem with being like, yo, this is me, this is what I'm doing, this is why I do this. It took one individual that just was like, I feel some type of way, and tried to shame that man, but it didn't work, and it blew back on her. And then she's like, oh my god, I can't believe these people. I'm like, yes, you can, because this is what you chose to do. There are a lot of people out there like that. There are a lot of people out there that just see you working and will go, I don't like that. I don't like that that person has the amount of pull that they have with individuals and with teams, with audiences, with clients, whatever. I don't like the work that they do. I don't think it's bad. I just don't like that they can do it and I can't. Like, there are a lot of people out there like that, and you have to prepare yourself for those moments. What is your way of like putting out that fire? How do you communicate? How do you say, hey, here's my email, let's talk about this, or here's my number, give them a Google number or whatever, let's talk about this, versus deleting comments, pretending it didn't happen. That you don't want to do that. There are some people that thrive off mess. Businesses that thrive off mess usually do not last long. So, outside the shade room, but with everything that's happening right now with the shade room, I don't know. But with that, you have to have a plan of when the worst possible thing could happen of someone trying to defame you. You have to have a plan of how to take action. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is your website. One, do you have a website? That is something that a lot of business owners don't necessarily have. But if this entire site, if social media as we know it were to cease to exist, how could people find you? Like, you really have to think about it from that perspective, because we've seen what happens when social media gets into the wrong hands and how access to things can be thwarted because somebody felt away. Like, we've seen it happen since November, or at least late December going into January. We've seen what happens when the wrong people get their hands on a relatively good thing. So when you think about those things, do you have a backup? Do you have a place where, okay, I saw you on Facebook, I saw you on Twitter, I saw you on Instagram, I saw you on YouTube, I saw you on TikTok. How do I find the rest of this? Because you can't put all of everything that you do on all of these platforms at once. So where does everything live outside of that? Where? Outside of an email campaign, outside of an email list, where does your site live? I'm not talking about the domain name. I'm talking about, can it be found anywhere else besides the social media page? Those are things you really have to genuinely ask yourself. If you do not have a website in 2023, that is a problem, because Zuck may up and decide, because he's mad because he's already laid off another 11,000 people over the last 24 or so odd hours. He might just get pissed because Meta is not working the way that he really hoped it would, even though it never was going to. But whatever, you can't tell billionaires anything, especially Zuck. If he just decided to pull the plug on this thing altogether because he mad, what's gonna happen to your people? What happens to your audience? Where they go? Those are things you have to think about. I know it's dire. I know it's like, but those are things you have to think about because the same way we thought MySpace was gonna be here forever. So now what? And how you get people to convert is to say, hey, I want to make sure that y'all have access to me or access to my things just in case the world burns. You can be funny, you can be tongue in cheek. Give them reason to sign up for your mailing list so you have their information. Give them, be intentional. Like, who knows what's going to happen to this site, y'all? So, if all else fails, let me get that email off you so you can I can have access to you, you can have access to me. And you still want to contact me about XYZ, great, I will send you an email, because DMs aren't always reliable, and you also have a lot more leeway when it comes to an email because you can send things, you have read receipts, you have all those things. You can actually get in touch with people, and you have a database that lives there versus in DMs you don't have that. So that's what, I don't know what is. See, Zuck must have heard me talking about him now. All of a sudden things are slow. So if when you need a website, come to me. I make them. I use Squarespace and Wix. I'm actually learning how to also build them from scratch, like through coding and everything else. I also work in WordPress begrudgingly, but I do work in WordPress. So if you are someone who either needs a website from scratch or you're someone that needs an audit of your website, be like, yo, I'm not getting what I need because there's so much that goes into a website. How's your SEO looking? Do you know what SEO means? Your meta descriptions. Are your pages like such and such.com slash blah, 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 a bunch of words, that was a bunch of letters and text that was there that you never changed? Is page one, like, are you do you have that on your site? Because yeah, you just want to get it done and get it out there, but then you still got to do some cleanup after the fact, and those are the things that matter. So because other people will look at that and go, that person's not professional. If they're not professional with this, they don't care about this, how I know they're gonna care about my other stuff? Those are genuine thought processes. I work with people like that. I am one of those people that will look at something and go, I don't like the way that looks. This looks off. This looks weird. This looks like they don't care. They just threw something up there, and I'm supposed to just, especially if it's confusing, if there's a wall of text, if the photos don't load, if the photos don't make sense, if there are a lot of typos, like all those things matter when it comes to audiences and who they choose, well, clients, potential clients, customers, who they choose to do work with and to do business with. Because if you're giving them the bare minimum and just threw something out there and they can't understand it, they can't read it, like, no, you're not going to get any conversion. It's not going to convert to an actual sale because there's nothing there for them to actually get. There's nothing there. So if you're someone who needs a website or needs a website audit to be like, yo, Iyanla, fix my website, let me know. I am looking for new clients. I don't know if you all know what's happening with me, but I was laid off. I was right before the recession. I don't even know if there's a before anymore. I feel like we're in a So I was one of the people from my my entire team was laid off. So in that, I am looking for new clients who are ready, willing, and up for, excited for doing more work in their brands and not just throwing something at me and going, fix it, Joy. No. No. It's not what I do. And with the caliber of work that I do, no. You gonna work right along with me. We getting hands dirty together. It's not just gonna be me. So if that is you, DM me, send me an email, whichever, and let's get your website back where it needs to be. Let's get your social media sites where they should be. Let's get your content where it should be. I recently created a YouTube channel for a client and made the graphics, made the videos, well, recorded the videos, edited the videos, everything. I have my own YouTube channel that I do that same work for. I haven't posted in a while, but I still do that same work. So I'm I am a good investment. I'm a worthy investment. So think on that. Chew on everything I gave you. I gave y'all a lot of free game when it comes to marketing and branding. Um, and make sure that you are keeping your things open, keeping your mind open. If you see something that you're interested in and the first thing you get is, oh, I can't do that, let's talk. Let's talk and figure out if you actually can get that done. If you actually are the perfect person to do that. So I will be dropping my links and everything after this video is done. And let's work. Let's work, y'all. Alright. See y'all later. Bye.